have been acquainted with Hariharan's work for the last 1 decade. He, as a humanist, reflects his personality through the documentary work he has been doing so far. Now, in this work, Barbecue Republic, he is taking a different route altogether. He is not following the conventional aesthetics of photography or documentary approach which he was practicing before. In this experiment, he actually takes the images into the machine and transforms it into a completely different form. And this cannot be called as a digital manipulation because he is looking at the form in a different point of view. Human body and its beauty normally being expressed as a very sensuous element. Here he looks at the brutality of the image. That is what Barbecue Republic makes a different body of work. He is approaching the work in a very, very different point of view. This can be considered as a form study as well as the human perceptions towards body and its sensuality. This work doesn't follow the conventional aesthetics which a normal viewer will expect. It shocks, makes you think, and it also encourages to get involved more into the work. As you leave the gallery after seeing the work, you will be left with a new perspective on gender and sexuality and the politics of today's time.
More often than not, these images leave you speechless. you think that you're looking at an image that looks like an embryo, and then you're led to an image that looks like a pyramid. From there you go to a nipple, and then you go to an image where the toes of both the toes are tied by the white cord. And the kind of journey that you take by leafing through the book page by page, each image has its own sense of discomfort, own sense of a story that you can relate to, or a story that you have lived through. Because when you grow up, you grow up with seeing people in their true flesh and blood, and you know that is life. Then you also know that what you see on the screens is probably not the real thing. But then you're so used to seeing what has been cultivated over a period of time that you really forget what truth is, what real life is. And then when you leaf through these pages, these books, and you go image by image, where you see the truth, you're reminded of how hands look like. You're reminded of how saggy the breast can be. You're reminded of the stretch marks, the skin, and everything. And this is exactly what truth is. However beautifully and digitally juxtaposed, you're reminded of reality, which we are so far away from. And on top of that, the way the images have been arranged, synchronized, sometimes like a split image, sometimes like a kaleidoscope, sometimes in a box, they all also convey so much. It conveys so much about how deliberately we've been pushed into being something which we are not. And I'm not talking this just about women, everybody. It makes you think of words like reality, freedom, courage, dynasty, democracy. I mean, these images, they don't show any religion, caste, community, cult. It's anybody, it's you, it's me, it's any woman, any man. We all look the same down below. It's not a pretty sight. And no matter how much we beautify ourselves, we are what we are down below. And you need books like these to be reminded of such things once in a while. So like I said, it's not an easy task when you have to discuss Hari's work. No doubt they're controversial, no doubt they are shockers, But what doesn't prepare people for with this book is what it leaves with you, what gets inside your system, into your head, and sits with you. Now, that's a difficult thing to deal with. You can deal with shock, you can deal with disgust, you can deal with all the immediate emotions that you feel. It's like a perfume, right? Once the first note and the second note starts to fade away, you are made to sit with the bass note, and that bass note is so damn difficult. So damn difficult. You have to deal with it because it sits on your body, in your body for a long time after those fruities and florals have gone away. I mean, that's the way I see Barbecue Republic. A very difficult thing to deal with or to own it. Because if you have it with you, you may not want to visit it many times. You may just want to keep it standing there on your bookshelf and be there as a collectible item. Very rarely you will find yourself going and picking it up and going through the images. And that's the beauty of it. The beauty of this book is that it reduces this beautiful human body with this lovely skin, beautiful hair, lovely features, into nothing but flesh. Flesh of a living being. And we are not used to, or we are not trained to, or we are never instructed to view a person like flesh. We like to see them as friends, family members, relatives, lovers, neighbors, but not as flesh. And if somebody transgresses that the way of viewing, the person is automatically corrected. No, that's not the way to see. No doubt it is very difficult to make sense of what we end up with, what kind of question and answers that go on in our mind. But the book is here to stay. The book is here to stay. The book is here to fire more conversations. The book is here to let people know that there are some souls who still walk the talk. That courage is not dead in this world. And that in spite of all the brainwashing that happens to us on every nanosecond basis, there are still some souls who are a little immune to it, and they are doing, saying, and conveying what the truth it is for them.
a masterpiece. It's something like it's. I'm a painter. I'm an artist, but what he has created through photography is more than an artwork. It's like I can see human flesh, human body in a different way. It's a different kind of a narration he has created. It's a kind of a visual narration through photography, but it's as good, as near to a painting on paper. And when I do work on humanity, on human body, and when I look at this kind of works, these photographs, I feel like the human body has so much of language to convey, and he has done a fabulous job with that. He has done absolute justice to the human body, and the kind of perspective and the kind of photograph he has put up is totally remarkable. Many people has done photography on human body. It's not a new thing, but if I look at the work of Mr. Hariharan's, it creates a different kind of a dimension with the human body, and I can see so many layers of emotions through these photographs, and I wish him all the best.
Barbecue Republic challenges all desirable views of a female nude we have glorified in art and life so far in history. Hariharan doesn't employ the artistic deceit of a historic tool for the real, the photograph. Instead, he frames the flesh, enabling the macro vision. Optical illusions are enabled, they are employed further, but the language doesn't yield anything phantasmagorical. Framing various dismembered sides of a female body, these photographs rather open up to the political underbelly of the nations, wars, and genocide that's still persisting around us.
Good morning. I'm still struggling with words when I try to bring myself to say something about this collection called the Barbecue Republic that has come out into this beautifully made and disturbingly made too, just like its content, despite being one of the writers privileged to write about it. I don't even know if I should call it a privilege initially, because my first response, and I think I will not say much, but I think my narration of my first experience of looking at these works in an effort to write about it is itself the key for the potential, readers and viewers who are going to purchase this book, which is again very modestly priced for the kind of, deep insight, inquiry and aesthetic excellence that it stands for. Well, my first response was actually to get up and run away. When Hariharan gave me this very difficult task and our friendship was just starting at that time, I had to battle a sense of deep revulsion, disgust. Well, we can call it bhibalsa in the Navarasas, in which I think most of us as Indian artists have been trained during our aesthetic education. It was to overcome that bit by bit, because to be looking at these images that are totally unvarnished and that strips away every sense of comfort with which you can look at the body was not easy. But each time I got up and ran away, I made myself come back and sit in front of it. And as I looked, I began to also understand, I knew it was there, but I was able to access the deep concern, compassion, pain, and the political engagement of Hariharan, the creative photographer, to put together a set of images like this with in the
The concept of beauty is very subjective. It all depends on how one is looking at things, and it also depends on how beauty is conceived and consumed. In this photographic series by Hariharan Subramaniam, titled The Barbecue Republic, he tries to reinterpret the notion of beauty and how it is used or even abused. At a time when all the avenues of visuals like the print media, visual media, and the internet is full of such barbecues with a lot of flesh for sale and kept ready for consumption, well decorated and appealing. In this series, Hariharan exactly showcases the viewpoint of the consumers or the customers of these barbecues, and through these visuals he questions the notion of what is beautiful and what is ugly.
Hello, I'm Pramod Shankar, and I've been a great admirer and follower of Hari's work since the early 1980s when we were both in Maharaja's College. What amazes me about his new body of work, aptly titled Barbecue Republic, is that it really explores the nuances of monochrome that Hari has always done. But at the same time, it takes it a whole set of steps further by exploring the mysteries of the human mind as well as the body. It's very easy to get lost in the bodyscapes that Hari creates with all its folds and mysteries and nuances, all the highlights and shadows and the multiple shades of grey. It is definitely a very below the belt impact that it creates first when the viewer sees it for the first time. But eventually it moves on, it goes several horizons further into your understanding and then starts the journey within your mind. Even after we close the book and then we proceed with our life, sometimes Hari's images comes back with all its impacts and starts to bother us. And that I believe is the success of this new collection. All the best to Hari.
So I have this absolutely extraordinary book in front of me, and it's called Barbecue Republic, Requiem for Flesh by the most amazing artist photographer Hariharan, a very, very dear friend of mine, and extremely talented. I feel this is one of the most intelligent artistic book that I have come across in a very long time. And though he says that this is the dehumanizing of a woman's body, and it's dark, of course it's dark and very deep rooted, as you can see, but to me all his absolutely beautiful images that he's taken and he's worked on they give me a kaleidoscopic feel, like as you can see on the cover. When you were a kid, you went through a kaleidoscope and you saw these multicolored inverse images, and they were beautiful, and I felt the same thing. Even though they are black and white, I felt color because I was seeing nature in them, in the human bodies, in the human flesh of the woman. I wasn't seeing the pain. The pain got almost hidden because they were so beautifully and intelligently, they came across as a petal or a flower or something connected to nature. I didn't see the sadness, which I think is a huge achievement. For example, this for me could look like a huge ancestral stone rather than probably the back of a woman. So yeah, of course nature goes through its pain, and so does the human body. This easily looks like an amazing flower anther. So if you haven't bought this book, please go ahead, buy this book, see what Hari is trying to tell us. He's trying to give us an information, he's trying to give us a message, and also read his inspiration on Beethoven. You will be very highly surprised, just as I was. Please go and buy his book. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Hemavati Guha and I'm a visual artist and a writer. Hariharan, who has published this book, Barbecue Republic, A Requiem for Flesh, is a friend of mine. As many writers in this book have pointed out, the photographs manipulated by him in his computer are indeed disturbing, and they disturb us because we do not want to acknowledge that we know which has always existed. He has mentioned that he was influenced by the British photographer Platon Antoniou, who took photographs at the Pansy Hospital in Congo, where Dr. Denis Mukwege was treating victims who had been violently raped during the war period. He has depicted the trauma sufferings of these women who had been tortured and abused mentally also in a very beautiful manner. But as an artist, I would like to talk about some of the photographs which I liked very much. In plate number 3, on page 11, a nude woman is sitting in different postures inside a cupboard, and if we were to open this cupboard, I feel many secrets would tumble out. I think this is what he meant when he has written in the Requiem for Flesh. We have forever mistaken the glitter of the golden lid to be the truth and adamantly refused to even take a peek into the vessel, either to ignorance or fear. Moving ahead, the photograph on plate number 4 is like an etching aquatint print with its fine grains and different tones. It is more like a handmade work of art rather than a photograph clicked by a camera. The cover photo, with its 4 headless figures and the fine drapery behind or maybe in front of them, hides the reality of the Republic. I wish Hariharan all success in his forthcoming exhibition to be organized by the Kerala Lalithakala Akademi in Thrissur. Thank you.
I promise you it's quite a journey. It's quite a journey. If you could draw like a graph of your emotions, how quickly your emotions would go from emotion X, Y, Z, and then slowly simmer into some absolutely unknown territory. Because somewhere there you're coming close to yourself. Maybe in the process you have unlearned a lot of things. Or maybe in the process you have felt so much that you didn't feel in a long time. And you're trying to be nice on top of it instead of feeling like going and slapping him. But in the process you're discovering so much about yourself that there is no reason why I shouldn't recommend this to you. I had a roller coaster with this. It took 1 year to reach where I am. I also know it's going to be a long time till I start feeling something else. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that fascinating that a tangible object can evoke so much in you and make you feel so much, make you realize so much in the process, makes you so uncomfortable with who you are that you start to question a lot of things that you have known, learned, still learning, and probably teaching also in some way or the other. And this is like a shake-up joy. Like, come on. Stop. In Urdu, there is a concept, or maybe in poetry, if you say, there's a concept of pause, which we call as tehrav, where it adds beauty to the sentence or the poetry when there is a gap in it, much like the negative space that you see in the paintings. You need that kind of negative space, or the pause, or the dark matter, to make rest of everything look beautiful or seem beautiful. Even there the book scores. Even there, this body of work makes you pause for a while. If and only you allow yourself to sit with it for a while. It's highly possible that you can see these works, feel a myriad range of emotions that may not be good, and you can abandon the exercise. But once you start sitting with it or let it simmer inside you, you get that pause that you need to continue that poem, to finish that couplet that you've been writing. It transforms you in some way or the other. I would say that. It's much like the painting where you paint a couple of layers, but then you have to pause, you have to go a little bit far, take a good look at it, and then you come back and then you start working on it. I think this book does that as well. I did not know that there will be so much of self-examination involved in seeing an artwork. And this is the ideal thing that you think about when you learn about art or when you are involved in a creative process. You read a lot about such things in the books as to how transformative this journey is and how art should question you and so on and so forth. This is a live example of what art can do to you. It has disturbed me. It has made me think of many things which I thought were buried in the subconscious of my mind, which need not ever resurface. But they did. It did not happen because of a person, it did not happen because of a memory or something, but it happened through a book. A book which has images, which shows you things as they are. Probably a bit modified to call it a work of art. So, yes, that's my journey of the last 1 year with this book, with Hariharan's works. I know that I will have a different opinion some time from now. Right now, I'm just so happy to have the book with me and to talk about it with others. And I don't know what I will be feeling later, because that would be another version of me, a new me, who feels things differently, who sees things differently. And I don't know. When I wrote about the works in the book, I wrote that I have a lot of questions. That when I see these images, I'm faced with a lot of questions about the work, about the artist, about myself, about art. And I also invited others to go on their own questioning journey. It's been more than a year, and I still have questions. A lot of questions. The nature of questions and the nature of questioning has changed a bit, but they are questions. And I do not know what to do next. And I like this discomfort.